Hey folks, how's everyone doing out there? You're watching another special edition of Cape Ann Today Live, coming at you from Grand Banks Building Products of 7 Crafts Road in Gloucester. I'm your host, Corey Cooper, alongside, as always, Heather Atwood. How are you, Heather?
I'm good, Corey. I want you to know that I am really only here to shop for windows. I really need some new windows.
We know. This is a problem. We go to Cape Ann Animal Aid, you shop for puppies,
Yeah.
now we're here at Grand
Got a
Banks.
puppy, and now I will get some windows. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Heather, we've been talking about this for a while, doing a show centered on the trades and how they've been affected locally through COVID, now post-COVID, and what better place to do that than right here at Grand Banks, right next door to Nichols Candy. It's a gorgeous building and campus here too, so we'll be showing you clips of that as well.
The view is incredible.
It really
I gotta
is.
say, it's
Yeah.
like so pretty here along the river. This is the river. What are we looking at? What body of water?
Heather?
Come on, tell me. The
No.
river.
No, you let sweat out. We're going to let the viewers
Okay, all right.
clue us in. All right, so helping us out today, talk all things Grand Banks, are Sam O'Neill and Amy Murphy. How are you both?
Good morning. How are you?
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so right off the top, Sam,
Yes.
you are, I have you down as the operations coordinator.
Yes.
What exactly is an operations coordinator at Grand Banks?
Well, what it doesn't mean is knowing the river. So don't ask me that question because I
I
don't know
believe that.
either.
See, it's not.
I don't know
it's not-
either.
Annisquam River.
I have no idea. Okay.
Why is the
She's from Beverly.
I'm from Beverly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought Annisquam was over there.
don't
Anyway,
know.
Sam, you and I.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're on it. Operations coordinator. So I started in sales here about 6 years ago, and because our business keeps growing, so don't these positions. So moved on to marketing, and then evolved into operations, which means I still dabble in a bit of everything: HR, sales, logistics, shipping, a bit of marketing. We're still in that phase where it's kind of an awkward adolescent team where we all still do a lot of our previous jobs and support each other, and that's how operations coordinator came about.
Many hats.
Many hats.
Nice.
But Amy, you are the business development and experience. So that's your title.
Yeah.
Experience.
We love experiences.
General experience.
All
I
about
just
the
love that.
experience.
Yeah, tell us.
Well, so my role started as showroom coordinator. So a big part of that was creating the experience in the showroom. Just creating the vibe that we wanted when people came in. It was just kind of creating that atmosphere for new guests coming in, existing clients that we knew. And that's kind of translated into other parts of the business. Now I work mostly in events and marketing. I am working with the architectural side of things now, just creating different courses for our architects through AIA, lunch and learns that we're hosting, and a big part also is community events and things that we do for people outside of the scope of just selling windows and doors.
Well, we want to get into exactly what you do here and what kind of services. But first, there is a story, a family story, right, to Grand Banks?
Yeah, absolutely. So Grand Banks has been in the Banks family for, I want to say we're going on 35 plus years now.
Yeah.
So Lansing Banks, a local guy who was a contractor in the area, saw a need for providing his friends who were also contractors with quality building products. So we started out of his pickup truck, just kind of helping his local friends in the area, distributing product. And then eventually he opened up a location in Gloucester, which is much smaller here than 7 Crafts, and then moved here. And it was only a portion of this building that we operated out of. And it was this beautiful space is all broken up into small offices. And we just had a couple desks back here and some lumber out there. And through the past 20-something years, we've grown. The growth has been crazy. In the past 7 years, I want to say, his son, Ryan Banks, took over the company. So Lance now can sail wherever he sails off to, enjoying his retirement. And Ryan runs the ship.
Yeah, so it's
Pun
an interesting
intended.
distinction because it is the Banks family.
Yeah.
It just so happens that
Yeah.
Grand Banks happens to be the fishing shelf offshore.
Correct.
here, too. Right.
Correct.
Right, right.
Okay.
Lots
And
of
wait, we
ties
have
there.
a data point to clarify here. It is the Little River,
Yeah.
not the Annisquam
Well, it goes
River.
right down to Little River Grocery.
Yeah, so it's not the Annisquam River.
Well, then
It's-
Annisquam breaks off this way. It's all part and all connected.
But that's officially the Little River.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, okay. So,
You can stop by
Now we
Little
know.
River.
yeah, right.
So this isn't, so there are many members of the Banks family involved, but you're not
Yeah.
like the Ramones where you're not Sam Banks, you're not Amy Banks.
No.
They're just them, yeah.
No, although we get that asked a lot. Are you a Banks?
Yeah.
No, we're not. There's 3 Banks working here. So Ryan's our president. Monica is in marketing. And then Sean Banks is at our new warehouse location on Condolin Road.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what happens here, all right? What products and services do you offer?
Yeah. Amy, do you want to talk about the showroom experience? This is where people first walk into, and then I can get into our different departments.
Yeah, definitely. So a big part is walk-in traffic that comes through. The showroom is where we house all of our samples. As you can see, all of the displays around. A big part of when the design was going into the showroom was for people to be able to experience things hands-on. So we wanted people to be able to envision, what a window would look like in their home, so they could touch and feel and try things out. Same thing with cabinetry. Just being able to envision these spaces where they could possibly be in your home. And then I would say probably other parts of the business here that we do, all of our events usually take place in the showroom. A lot of different client meetings. We have a conference room that we've just renovated. So a lot of it is just trying to keep everything kind of in one place for all of our clients and make it easy and just be seen as more of a resource, I think, for people.
So people can come in and actually purchase, I'm dwelling on windows, or cabinets, or counters, or they could get the services to figure out, to help guide them in those sales, right? Like an architect or a contractor, right?
Yep, absolutely. We're not selective just to contractors or architects. Anyone can come and purchase through Grand Banks. Typically, everything is made to order. We don't have much stock here. We have a few hardware pieces. We carry Festool, which is a popular handheld tool from Germany. So we carry some of that. Some millwork we carry stock. But our windows, doors, our cabinetry, our hardware, that's all made to order. So, we'd like to meet you where you are in your process. You could come in with a full set of plans from an architect and say, here's my list of what I need. That's great. We'll meet you there. But some people come in with their eclectic Pinterest board of 20 different styles, and we have to start there and seeing, okay, well, where are the similarities, and kind of guide you in the right direction. So, which is why we have the support team that we do. We have designers, we have architectural team, outside sales, inside sales, design. Yeah, we have it all to again, meet you where you're at.
Yeah. And one of the nice things too, I think, of being in this business is we've kind of created a referral business as well. So one of the nice things that we can say to clients coming in, particularly homeowners, is, a lot of times they don't know who to work with. We don't do a lot of the installations. Exactly. We did just start an installation team, but we're working primarily with contractors and builders in that program. But what we can do for homeowners is say, well, we can refer you to X, Y, and Z. These builders and contractors we have a really good rapport with, and, knowing the quality of their work and how our relationship is with them. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off of homeowners when they're kind of going through that process to decide who they want to work with.
Now, normally when I'm here, there are always contractors bouncing in and out. Do you have any idea how many you work with currently?
Oh gosh, no. I mean,
a lot.
Like we have between inside and outside sales, just looking at windows and doors, you probably have 10 to 12 people. I mean, and their clients alone.
Could be 20, 30.
Yeah, 20, 30, 40
50s.
plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So our database is huge for clients, but it's phases. It come and goes. Like some are repeat clients. They're contractors and they're constantly putting up some commercial and residential work, and some are just one-off residential things. So the longevity of the types of projects that we do vary as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so we're probably going to talk to a couple of the other guests about this issue, but tell us about COVID and tell us about what happened to building on Cape Ann. Did it go crazy? Did it sort of collapse? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So COVID was crazy, right? For all of us in many ways, in different ways. We only shut down for 1 week, and then we were deemed essential because building went on. So we were lucky to stay open. So there was a weird pause. And then with the stimulus and the money people were getting, all of a sudden it just skyrocketed. I mean, it took off. We were in the weeds for a couple of years. People were working from home, so they were investing in their home. They were redoing their kitchens. They were putting home offices in. People were and they couldn't travel. That was the other thing. People weren't spending the money on travel, so they were spending it on their home. So for a while, we got insanely busy, which, as Amy mentioned, we have an installation team now, which is why we kind of brought this installation team on, but only offered it to contractors. Our contractors were getting so busy. They were booking a year out, 2 years out. They couldn't keep up with the work. So our installation team offered a solution that the contractors could still have the clients come through them, but then really sub out Grand Banks to install their windows, to install their doors that they purchased through us. And it's really helped solidify some relationships. But I would say we're plateauing a bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think now that things have kind of calmed down, I was just going to say one of the big things I think we were impacted by was just our community relationships. You know, a lot of the things that we relied on as far as like community events that we were hosting, fundraising, trainings, a lot of that we had to switch to virtual. And I'm sure you guys attest to this as well, but virtual just does not have the same appeal as, you know, the in-person interactions that we were able to offer people. And so kind of having to pivot in that way and come up with solutions for that and how we could still keep engagement with our clients and our community and still make it interesting and appealing for people to want to participate.
Yeah, and you touched upon something there too, Amy. So your relationship, you're always having fundraisers here. You're tied in with a lot of local nonprofits. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, what those partnerships are like?
Yeah. So one of the main ones that we do work quite a bit with is Wellspring House. So I don't know if you guys are familiar. They'll be here presenting. Melissa will be here, but they've been a great nonprofit to work with. We've done a lot of work with them through the holidays. We have a women's networking that we host that one of the ones that we did with them was, you know, showcasing the work that they do as far as specifically with women and trying to get them the training and background that they need to kind of progress themselves into different occupations. And, you know, as far as just working with them, they're just such an amazing team of people, and it's been really nice to work with them and have a local connection to a nonprofit that we feel passionately about.
And what's nice about it here is the showrooms are gorgeous, but you're also right here on the river too, which is amazing because you'll have family-friendly events here all the time, and there's space to do that.
Yeah. And we did host another foundation that we work with is Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and that was a big one that we have turned into more of a yearly event that we do because of the turnout, and that started a lot more on a personal level, more from me, but it was my son had undergone treatment, and so we wanted to find a way to support and work with Dana-Farber just as something that we felt really strongly about. And it's just been an amazing way to get the community together, and the outpouring of people that we've had every year has been so wonderful. And you know, we've done a really nice job trying to kind of make that a consistent thing that we do here.
Don't forget your art shows too. Talk about your art shows.
Yeah.
Give yourself some credit.
I know. So yeah, I mean, that's another part of the community. We just did actually host a really nice event here with Brendan Pike, who's a local photographer. He is showcasing all of his work, and one of the things we have been doing is hosting local artists who will show their work for 2 or 3 months, and we do offer people, if they want to purchase them, they can, and it's just been a nice way to, you know, fill our walls with beautiful art selfishly, but also be able to support the local art community because it is huge, and it's a part of Cape Ann that, you know, people know about, but we're kind of doing it in a different way where we can offer that and, you know, support them in the way that we can. In the showroom.
So you've also so business has calmed a bit or settled from where it was through COVID. What about supply chain issues? Has that softened at all, or?
It varies from vendor to vendor. I would say vendors are hopeful. They're projecting lead times. Like, we've already been given schedules of, okay, by April, we're anticipating 10 weeks instead of 15 weeks. It really depends how they position themselves during COVID, where their plants were, where they got their glass from, where they got their aluminum from. So, you know, on this end of things, we just think of like supply issues, but I've learned myself that some of these vendors made strategic efforts to open up plants closer to glass or closer to aluminum so that they can have easier access to those materials, which in return led to us getting those materials better if we had a relationship with that vendor and position them higher and higher just to get product from during COVID. So overall, things are softening, lead times are softening, materials are softening, but the expectation now has been set. Right? You know, for windows, you used to be able to come in and I remember saying 2 to 4 weeks and people being like, oh, okay, I guess that's all right. And now 12 to 14 weeks, people are like, okay. It's astonishing how quick we all had to pivot, readjust, reevaluate, and just really kind of accept that this is what the industry is now. And it was challenging for a while, but I think we're not breaking hearts anymore when we tell people 12 to 14 weeks. That's expected.
Yeah, that's good. And how about costs? Because with inflation and fuel costs, the things have changed a lot, right?
Yeah. That is what it is. I wish I could say we're seeing that soften and come down as well, but It just kind of kept in line with the way everything else has been. The price increases have really stopped. So they went from every couple months, here's another increase, here's another increase. Now it's just a standard once a year, maybe bi-yearly increase that we typically get. So thankfully, we're not getting hit with price increases every other month.
Is there any reflection from like the housing market, especially the last year or two, was bananas?
Yeah.
And there wasn't a softening there. I mean, this area it's truly a destination place now. I don't know if those prices go down.
Yeah.
Was that reflective in your business at all? Like keeping up with these rising costs of homes, that there was no inventory,
Right.
yet everyone was home and doing work in the meantime. Like, how are you guys sort of working through that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if I have a strong opinion on that.
Yeah.
We did kind of test the waters out during that time when the housing market was wild. We sent out some mailers to people in our area that were, hey, we saw that you bought a home. Come to Grand Banks and you'll get a certain amount of money off. I think people bought so high over like typical asking price that it was hard for people to renovate their home. So we didn't see much return on that offering. Yeah. I'm just wondering if that's related because people had to offer $100,000 over or cash offerings that the funds to then update their houses, it wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I would agree with Sam in that. I think the market I think what we did see quite a bit was more property developing. So a lot of people coming in who are doing more like big projects for like properties, like along Good Harbor, all those big condos that are going in. Like we did play a part in some of those, and those kind of projects, I think we definitely saw an uptick in. But as far as homeowners, I would say, I can't really speak to whether we saw a huge difference in that.
Yeah. But it's pretty fascinating just how all these industries and connected industries have just been affected the last few years. I mean, it's been felt everywhere, but specifically here, which is why I thought it was important to do a show here too. So, okay, Sam and Amy, if people want to learn more about Grand Banks Building Products or find you, how can they go about doing that?
Well, we are pretty active on our social media, I would say. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We try to kind of maintain active relationships there. So if people message us, we're always looking. So if somebody reaches out there, and we'll kind of direct them to the right people. Always on our website, grandbanksbp.com. We have been doing some updates there to showcase some of the services that we offer. We have been expanding a lot of our services in that regard. So that's a great resource for people if they're just curious to look around and see what we offer.
And maybe there's some artists out there who are looking for some display space.
Oh yeah, and if they are, reach out to me.
And stop by the showroom.
Yeah.
I mean, we're open 7 to 4 Monday through Friday. We're open in our new location in Waltham Monday through Friday. So we have a couple different locations to service the different areas that our salespeople are in. So just stop by.
Great.
Awesome. And you can get some candy, you can have
get some candy.
Exactly.
Enjoy
I
life
can
on the island here.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle here.
It
at
is.
Craft Island. Yeah.
It is.
On the Little River.
Yeah. Sam and Amy, thanks so much for your time and your hospitality for us today too.
Thanks
we
for
really
being here.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
So
Absolutely.
let's do this again sometime
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Yeah, there you have it. So Sam O'Neill and Amy Murphy of Grand Banks Building Products. As you're watching another episode of Cape Ann Today live here at 7 Crafts Road, right next door to Nichols Candy, as a matter of fact. Joining us now is Josh Pinstein. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing well.
Fine
thanks.
Home Concepts.
Josh, I'm Heather.
Hi, Heather. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Thanks
too.
for doing this with us, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for
Of
being
course.
here.
Yeah, pleasure.
So right off the top, I guess, who are you, what do you do, and what's your association with Grand Banks?
Sure. So my name is Josh Pinstein. I am the owner and lead carpenter for a company called Fine Home Concepts, based out of Beverly Farms, but most of our work is right in downtown Manchester. We're a small company. It's me and one other guy, focusing mostly on bathrooms and kitchen remodels. I started the company about 5 years ago, and sorry.
You need some water? Do you want some water?
Sure.
That's
you.
mine, but we
Okay.
can
I
get
haven't
you
had
one.
that.
Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
So I started the company about 5 years ago, after working for a company for 10 years. And I had built up so much side work kind of with friends and family that it was time to move on to do my own thing. So I've always kind of had a real focus on attention to detail and kind of high-end work in Manchester. So that's carried on with Fine Home Concepts as I've started to grow. And again, I've been doing it for 5 years. So that's kind of how my company started. And how I relate to Graham Banks. I use Graham Banks for a lot of my building products, kitchen cabinets, decking, a lot of their lumber that's located outside with Eric, and then tools such as Festool and other products that they sell here is kind of how I relate to Graham Banks.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a client who's doing their kitchen over.
Sure.
Do you bring them here and say, look around, what do you like? Is that,
Yeah,
what would you do?
so typically when I get a call, I go over and I meet the homeowners to kind of check out the space. My first thing to tell them is that go to Graham Banks, meet with the kitchen designer, somebody like Alicia who works here, who I always recommend. It's somebody that I've worked with for years. Would go out, check out their kitchen, go over what the client wants for their space, and give them ideas as to what they're looking for. She would come back here, draw up the whole plans, do renderings so that the homeowner can actually see what the kitchen's going to look like, and yeah, so that's typically how it works. And then once Alicia has a plan, I would meet with Alicia and the homeowner to kind of figure out pricing and structure and stuff like that.
I think that's a key relationship, to have the designer imagine the things and help the person imagine them, but be able to talk to you professionally about, will this work?
For
How do
sure.
we do this? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I think one important thing too is Graham Banks has so many different options of cabinetry. They have the lower end, kind of the builder's model, and then a mid-range, which, you know, a lot of the clients are gonna go for. It's a nice cabinet at a little bit lesser of a cost than the super high-end architectural cabinets. All of them are nice. They all, you know, have a price point that any client and any one of my clients can kind of go with.
Yeah. So Josh, so you start your own business just before the pandemic hits, and then things go bananas.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? And then how did you deal with those supply chain issues as well?
Yeah, so my company was a little bit different. I wasn't a big company with a lot of overhead trying to figure out my way through the pandemic. I was a one-man show with subcontractors, but just kind of lucky to have a lot of basement remodels lined up for that time frame, right as the pandemic hit. So I talked to a lot of my clients just through the staircase from the first floor to the basement, and then I would leave and they would check out the space, make sure everything. So we made it work. Obviously not ideal to meet with clients like that. But yeah, I had a lot of basements lined up and decks in the summertime. So that's kind of how I did it. In terms of supply chain, there's nothing you can do with that. I think all of my clients anyways were very understanding.
What were the supplies that were the most impacted for you, that you felt like, damn, I just can't get that?
You know, it's changed over the couple years that it's been going on. Even now, some products are just so hard to find.
Well, it was just bizarre when you see like a 2x4 was like $15, and
Yeah.
now like drywall's really
Yeah,
expensive,
yeah.
and wood is down. So
Yeah.
it's weird how it's fluctuating.
Yeah, so you know, lead times, they're always tricky in the building industry is what I've found. You know, for some reason some products just take a lot longer than others. But staying on top of that, and, you know, constant communication with your suppliers, like the Building Center and Graham Banks. Your communication with those people is really what's going to help you out quite a bit. So during the pandemic, again, constant communication with those people to try to figure out, you know how a project works and what follows what. So staying on top of your schedule and making sure that you have all the products you need in that time frame. And then during the pandemic, knowing that most of those products are going to take some time to arrive. So yeah.
So do you feel as if your business is kind of evened out there's not this, all the people staying home really wanting to just one day, we have to renovate the kitchen. Because
right.
they're looking at their walls.
Yeah.
Has that ended? Are you?
So again, I've kind of fallen into like a nice little niche in the Manchester area. I grew up in Manchester, down the street from the elementary school. So I know a lot of people in town. So I don't do any advertising. It's mostly word of mouth. So what I have done over the last couple of years is kitchens and baths, and I find that a lot of companies in that area aren't trying to focus on projects that small. They're kind of whole house renovations, new houses, bigger projects, and not focusing on just a single bath or a kitchen. So I've found a nice niche, high-end bathrooms, high-end kitchens where you're doing steam showers and different stuff like that, that are valuable. But again, most of the companies don't really focus on stuff like that. So my workflow stays pretty consistent. I'm never really looking for work. So I haven't noticed too much, but I have noticed that most people are back in the office, and a lot of those smaller end projects.
But you bring up like a cool, what I find is a common characteristic of a lot of people who live and work around here. Because I think tradespeople and artists are very similar, where you sort of build up your clientele, you get as busy as you can possibly be, and then you just kind of grow and live with that clientele for your career. Did you ever think, well, geez, I can actually add a couple other guys and get bigger and bigger, or are you just content with managing what you're managing right now?
Where I'm at in life right now, it would be challenging to bring on a bigger crew. I have a 1.5 and a 3-year-old daughter, and it's really just a busy time of life. So I did add one guy, Alex, who's been working with me for almost a year now, and having him has been a huge help. It's made me way more efficient. But in terms of trying to do multiple broad projects at a time, I think from a scheduling standpoint and running multiple projects at one time means that I'm spending less time on the job site with my hands on the products, making sure that everything's the way I want it. So right now, I think in terms of how busy my life is, I'm good with sticking this small. I think in the future, as I get more efficient with all my suppliers and everything like that, I will have the opportunity to grow a little bit more, but right now I'm content with where I'm at.
Yeah.
So how did you learn to be a master builder?
I wouldn't consider myself a master builder, but I graduated from UMass Business School in 2010, and nobody was hiring right when I graduated. So a friend in Manchester asked if I wanted to learn carpentry. He was a super high-end builder, mostly for his own projects, buying houses and flipping them. But every once in a while, we'd get a client and work for them. But really just super high-end work. And I worked with him for I'd say 8 years. In total. I left a couple times to try to be a project manager, do other things.
Did you know what you were doing at first, or you just kind of picked it up?
I didn't know what a jigsaw was or a chop saw. Yeah, I just kind of learned as I went. So yeah, he was a great teacher.
Excuse me, but do you think that's how most people are learning this industry?
To be honest, I don't think many people my age are really getting into the industry. I know friends that are in the area and buying homes, and they need work to be done, and
there's nobody to do it.
Yeah, and it just overwhelms me. Like, these people are buying homes that need work, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because those handyman skills just aren't prevalent in my generation.
Interesting.
Right.
So yeah, I was grateful to have learned, a lot of that stuff kind of in my 20s. But as soon as I started, I loved doing that type of work, working with my hands, and at the end of the day, being able to see, maybe not a finished product, but how much I was able to get done. so yeah, I just thought the more I did it, the more I loved it, and then that real fine finish work is really what I fell in love with. So doing that type of stuff is just so much fun.
Yeah,
To
I
this
wonder-
day, I love doing it.
I wonder what would entice younger people to get interested in these sorts of trades too. I don't know if it starts, high school vocational stuff, or
Sure.
if they're at Aggie or wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Know.
And
But it's
is
pretty
this a
interesting.
problem that we need people in this?
Yeah,
coming into this
I
field?
think that it is maybe not a problem right now, but certainly in the future. I think a lot of what the older generation has pushed my generation into in terms of parenting has been to go to a 4-year school. Graduate, find a desk job, make a lot of money, and go about it that way. There is money in construction, and not everybody is designed to sit behind a desk. I always thought that that's what I wanted to do and what I was kind of designed for, but after working with my hands for a couple years, I realized that that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, nicely put. So Josh, if people want to learn more about Fine Home Concepts, how can they go about doing
Yeah.
that?
You can find me at Fine Home Concepts on Instagram, Facebook, and my website, www.finehomeconcepts.com.
There you go. Josh Pinstein,
Awesome.
thanks so much for your time. I really
Thank you.
appreciate
Very
it.
much. Nice to meet
Thanks so
both
much.
of you.
You
Take
too.
care.
right.
You get back to work.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Because there's no one else to do that work.
I know. Interesting stuff though, huh, Heather?
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are big issues in this field.
Yeah, it's an industry in flux. So come on in, Ryan. Grab a seat. Now joining us is Ryan McShera. He is of Red Barn Architects.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How you doing, Ryan?
Nice to see you.
Hi,
Good to
Ryan.
see you.
I'm Heather. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for
Thanks
having
for
me.
spending some time with us.
Glad to do it.
Okay, so for folks who don't know what Red Barn Architects is, what is it? Who are you and what do you do?
Yep. So we are a residential firm operating out of Essex, Massachusetts. We are a 5-person team, and we do mostly residential work. So anything from small additions up through new custom single-family homes.
Your relationship with Graham Banks?
So we've been using Graham Banks for kitchens and windows for as long as we've been in business. It's a great resource to send people over here to the showroom. They get to see the windows, touch the windows, operate them. Same with the kitchen stuff. So really great resource for us to send our clients to.
So you do residential and commercial, right?
A little bit of commercial, small commercial stuff, but about 95% residential now.
Okay. So what are the design trends you're seeing these days?
That is a great question. So for design trends that we're seeing out there right now, farmhouse is still a really strong theme that we're seeing out there and getting a lot of
That's
requests
the
for.
sinks all in that over
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Yep. And also interior and exterior aesthetic for the farmhouse, right? So we're seeing a lot of that these days. And a lot of bold colors actually are really coming into play. So two-tone colors in the kitchen. We're picking a really bold color on the island maybe, or doing an accent wall with some fun colors, some fun wallpaper. So we're seeing a lot of that out there.
Nice.
We talked a little bit off camera, Ryan, about how the changes in industry you saw once COVID hit and what people were doing inside of their homes. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Absolutely. So, just in terms of the way that we practice architecture, it was a really big change for us. We have access to people's homes all the time, so we were doing more remote meetings and things of that nature. But in terms of the design work that we're seeing out there, we're seeing a lot of home offices being requested by our clients. And we're actually seeing a lot of multi-generational stuff. So folks are really bringing families back together and older folks moving in with younger folks. And we're seeing a lot of people adding on additional dwelling units to their homes so everybody can live together. It's a really interesting thing.
And how about the sort of all the issues around green construction?
So I think we made a whole nother show for that.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
it's something we're really trying to take a leading trend on. It's something that's important to Red Barn. Buildings are really not all that energy efficient, or existing buildings aren't. So every time we get into a project, we're really trying to push that on clients to really think about what's going into their building project. Any opportunities for insulation, for new windows, all the things that really make the building a little bit more energy efficient. Upgrading HVAC systems, and then all the way up through, we actually just finished 2 new builds in Essex with a developer that were not quite passive house standard, but almost net zero energy use homes.
Wow.
So we see it as a really a trend that needs some nurturing, and are glad to do it. So
Was it particularly complex to build these homes?
It is a little bit of a
Challenging.
science project.
Yeah,
Yep,
right.
exactly. So it's a lot of things coming together, but yeah, a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, Ryan, what was your path to working in this industry, becoming an architect?
So I've been on the job site since I was 12 years old.
Oh, really?
My father was a builder, carpenter, rough framer, put the houses together, installed windows, roofing, siding, trim, that kind of thing.
What part of the world?
In central Massachusetts, in Southborough. And so I started picking up nails and shoveling snow. So from there, went to work with him for 5 years full time in my early 20s, realized that building outside in the winter in Massachusetts is a tough thing.
Yeah.
So I went to architecture school and then managed to find my way to the North Shore and have been practicing architecture on the North Shore for about 15 years.
Yeah.
So the North Shore is sort of visually specific, right? Particularly architecturally.
Sure.
Of course, all of New England is. So do you find that sort of challenging, compelling as an architect to try to do new construction fitting into this beautiful place?
Yeah, so we really try to take our cues from our clients and find out what they would like to do. But then it becomes a blend of whether someone wants to do something that's a little more historic looking and blends in with the surrounding nature of the buildings around here. Or like the ones I was talking about in Essex, which were completely contemporary new builds. So it was fun to have like a clean palette to kind of just do something totally contemporary and fun.
I think every architect wants that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're really seeing both ends of it, but we feel most comfortable really pushing the edge and being on that contemporary side as opposed to doing all this sort of classic historic stuff.
How many hoops do you have to jump through with zoning, conservation commissions, things like that? Because everywhere you look around here is a weird lot.
Exactly. It's getting tougher and tougher to build with all the regulations that go into it. But yeah, any given project, we're dealing with zoning board, we're dealing conservation commission, board of health is often involved. So I often tell clients, if you hit all three, you hit the trifecta. So you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
So I'm wondering, Ryan, why do you love what you do so much? Because it's apparent.
I think the best part about practicing architecture is really the connection that you get with your clients and your customers. It's fun to sit around the coffee table. I call the early design process the hopes and dreams phase, right? Anything can still happen in that phase. So meeting around the table, coming up with the ideas, synthesizing it into a design that they can use and enjoy is really the best part for me.
Has there been any ideas bandied about where like, are you kidding me? Like someone wants the spaceship or the windmill or
How do we talk them out of the windmill?
Yeah, exactly.
the bunker
Yeah.
3 miles below the Earth's
Right.
surface? You get that?
We certainly get some interesting requests, and we love to work on interesting stuff. So the more interesting, the better, I say.
So what happened to you and your firm during COVID? Were things good? Were things scary? How'd that go?
when it initially hit, there was a real fear in the construction industry, like what is going to happen here, right? Because it is such a collaborative environment. Subcontractors are constantly in people's houses. Contractors are constantly working with the homeowner. So there was a real sort of like pause about, how are we going to work through this? Luckily, the construction industry was labeled as a vital industry, so we were able to operate nearly close to normal,
Wow,
except for
amazing.
separate and apart. So we were pretty lucky in that sense.
Do you feel like Rambax, we talked to Amy and Sam about it, they feel like the things went crazy for a couple of years there, and then it's kind of plateaued. I keep harkening back to just the real estate market here and how insane it got for a while. And I don't know if the prices are ever gonna soften again because Cape Ann's become such a destination area.
Right.
What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so I'm also starting to think that we're maybe not going to see a return to lower level pricing. One of the other things too that I think happened is that there was a little bit of pent up demand before COVID hit. Then there was a period of work stopped a little bit, but then got going again. But I don't think we've ever really recovered from that pent up demand. It's the subcontractors who are still very busy out there, which is great for them, great for everybody to be busy out there. But we're not going to see pricing come down until that demand structure changes a little bit.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I think this new sort of plateau pricing might be what we see for a little while longer. Same thing with housing in the residential market. House prices remain up, and folks are sort of stuck between, do I want to move to a new place and dump a bunch of money into that new place, or do I just stay in the place I'm in now and renovate and do the addition and do what I can to stay here?
Yeah. Well, and as someone now who knows the area as well as you do, there's such a dearth of housing for some. Can you identify pockets of areas around Cape Ann, like, a development could work here or could work there? Do they exist? Because it seems like people are always just sort of punting that issue down the road and nothing's really getting resolved.
Exactly, right. And I think one of the key things that's coming out recently is the MBTA is really pushing this housing
Right, the zoning.
initiative
Yeah.
around their stations. So whether we like it or not, I think it's coming. And yeah, identifying those parcels, getting the projects built, getting neighborhood buy-in is always key around here, right? Because it's always something that you imagine happening farther away until it's happening in your backyard,
Yeah.
right? So we're gonna have to work together to find those spots and develop those parcels.
Yeah, and I know in Gloucester, there are usually, if people talk about downtown development, the only place you can go is up. And
Exactly.
that creates a whole other host of issues
Right,
as well.
exactly. Yeah, it changes the scale of everything and how the city feels and those kind of things.
Tell us, as an architect, sell us on that zoning. Tell us that it could be done well, it could be attractive, it could work into the community. Tell us all those things.
Yeah, sure. So, I am a big advocate for, making sure that we have housing for people of all income levels, right? We did a couple projects down in Salem where that's really becoming a main focus of the city, right? Is not only providing housing, but housing needed at all income levels. And in order to do that, I think not only does the community have to give a little bit to the developer, but the developer really has to work hard to give back to the community. So it's what kind of amenities I think are going to go into these buildings in the future, right? How do we treat the public spaces of these things so these buildings are a little bit more public for everybody as opposed to a private condo development kind of thing. So I think that partnership.
What would that look like? What does that mean?
So I think whether it is a gym space in the building that maybe becomes a little bit more public,
Open to the public?
open to the public, a pool space open to the public kind of thing. Any of those kind of amenities that the developer can make more public and give back to the city, I think would be a more attractive project to sort of keep this conversation going and make it work for both sides.
Interesting.
Really interesting.
Yeah, Ryan, we thank you for the time today too. If people want to learn more about Red Barn Architects, how can they go about doing that?
So we love to send people to our Instagram feed. I think that's the best way to learn about what we do on any given day. Check us out on the internet, and then obviously spaces like this.
Yeah. Well,
Great.
well, thank you so much for your time. Would love to continue the conversation too, because it's just the news surrounding these industries, these connected industries, is changing so rapidly. And I think just the housing and development topic it's not going to go away. It's such a hot topic here. And it really isn't going to lessen anytime soon.
Particularly
agree.
with that transit overlay district.
Exactly, right.
There's going to be a lot of conversation about development.
Absolutely.
And being done well would be a good thing. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, Ryan,
you.
thanks so much for your expertise. We really appreciate it. So there you go, Ryan Mashera of Red Barn Architects. Interesting stuff, huh?
It's very interesting. It really is. And the zoning issues that are going along the MBTA, we really should do another show on development.
We spent a lot of time,
Because
we've had a lot of conversations about how that's going to evolve over the years too. What may happen near the railroad tracks, what may happen in the downtown areas, pretty unbelievable. So, and of course there are the 40B issues that
that
also
can,
keep sort of getting punted in a couple communities here, down and down and down, and it's hard to resolve those issues. So
it definitely is. There's a lot of tension around a 40B project, any 40B project.
yeah. All right, joining us now is Emma Littlefield. She's a designer at Graham Banks. So we touched upon a couple issues with design so far
We
today,
did,
but
yeah.
now we can get down to
We have the
specifics.
expert with us now.
How are you, Emma?
Good, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Thanks
And
for doing
know-
this with us.
I know Emma from Rockport.
You do?
Hi, Emma.
Hi,
Great to
how
see
are
you
you?
again.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, so well, I guess Emma, right off the top, what is your role here? What do you do?
Well, I'm one of the 4 kitchen designers here, and we do basically kitchens from blueprint kind of new builds to just regular renovations, swap out cabinet for what they already have. So kind of a little bit of everything.
So you can start it with a very tiny project, a little project,
Yes,
or
you
you can do
can-
the whole kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. We do both rentals to custom homes to the in-betweens too.
What was your path to this occupation?
So my dad is in construction, so I kind of just grew up in the world of carpentry, and found that I wanted to kind of go through the design route. So it led me here.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me because I can't visualize things, and I'm like spatial relations they're all beyond me. So when you meet someone who can actually look and tell you, no, this is how this is working, like I have to actually see the space too.
Yeah.
To
We have a
figure
lot
it
of
out.
clients like that, and that's the beauty of having the 3D perspective images is a lot of people can't picture what this would look like in their home. So we'll go out, measure, draw out the whole space, and put exactly what cabinets we picked out here into their space.
Oh,
with the
that's
functionality.
cool.
And yeah, a 3D picture kind of brings it a little bit easier to realize what
Yeah.
might be in your space.
Right, interesting. So why do you love what you do?
I guess I just love kitchens.
That's great.
I'm a
Great answer. Really.
I like to bake a lot, so I just like love the being in the kitchen and looking at kitchens. So I just kind of
Me too. I love kitchens. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us do.
So Emma, do you find that people in this area specifically, do they have particular wants or features or facets to their kitchen?
A lot of people around here, they try to keep a little bit of traditional. I wouldn't say we trend towards super modern. I feel like our modern in the North Shore area is much more of like a minimalist scene where it might not be wall cabinetry, but we definitely keep the warmer tones and woods, and we still have a lot of people kind of sticking towards those neutral colors versus doing anything with, we very rarely get slab doors with bright colors or shiny or anything like that. I feel like we kind of live in a more of a traditional, softer area.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask too, even culturally, do you find people who are coming to you, do you know when people are there to use the heck out of their kitchen? Like they're going to cook, bake, compared to just sort of, it's not a feature room of the house?
Yes. I mean, we've definitely worked on some kitchens where they're buying these beautiful appliance packages and they told me that they don't cook. So, and that's one of those things where I'm like, can I come use your oven?
Right.
But that really kind of focuses on the design aspect more so than, like, they might have cabinets that drop down to the counter really close to their range. But if I know somebody has kids, helping them cook spaghetti, like, I'm not recommending having a cabinet so close to areas that are going to get wet or hot or
Yeah, the steam.
Yeah.
Right.
so kind of more realistic views on who's using the kitchen, how many of you are there that are using the kitchen, if it's like a shared rental home or you know it's your summer home and you rent it out, you might want to consider doing wood cabinets because maybe your renters aren't taking care of your painted white like you might. So a couple things like that.
Yeah. Do the basics still apply? The triangle from refrigerator to stove to sink?
They're there, but we have some funky homes here that we can't always achieve that. We definitely walk into some spaces where people see something on Pinterest or Instagram or what have you, and they want this huge elaborate kitchen, but their space really doesn't have the room for it at all. So some of that is also our job, is kind of talking about living in a realistic world of Instagram versus what you can have.
Right. The
Yeah.
magazine
in real life.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's got to be really challenging with all these old New England homes.
Yes.
And trying to bring them up to date. So what would be your ideal, you, Emma Littlefield, your ideal kitchen counters, cabinets, shelves, open or not, and palette?
I guess today, my
Yeah.
answer. I would definitely do wood bases. I love natural stone, so I probably would do like a soapstone, maybe like either walnut or rift cut oak bases with a black or gray soapstone, and then I've always, this is kind of weird, but I always have wanted a teal ceiling.
Ooh, that would be pretty.
Yeah, so that would be kind of my spot of color.
Yeah.
But all the bases wood and hopefully a lot of windows, but
Yeah.
we'll see about that.
Yeah.
What challenges did you have to face through the pandemic and in dealing with clients, and whether there could have been supply chain issues, or waiting for things, or just not being able to figure things out as fast as you wanted to?
Yeah, so during that, we were actually ordering a lot of things off of blueprints, which was a new world for us. Oftentimes, we might start a project on blueprint, and then it gets framed and we go measure and confirm everything. Now we're really relying on talking to our architects, talking to our contractors, and because lead times would be like 26 weeks for cabinetry. Wow. So they don't want to wait, another 26 weeks after they're all framed out. So that was a challenge in its own, making, stuff changes on site all the time. So leaving room to be able to adjust things, like you just really can't build to the exact figure because you need a little bit of flexibility. So that was a little bit difficult. And then not only the lead times being an issue, but just some of the quality of the products that were coming in. They were sourcing it from different areas and kind of, this is what we have to use it. So a little bit of flux on that, of what we might have been expecting was the norm to the new norm.
Yeah. Well, describe the process now. A prospective client comes in and needs you to walk them through a potential redesign. How does that work?
Sure. Yeah. So usually we have 2 meetings to start out. One meeting would be in the showroom. We kind of walk them through each room. Each room in this showroom is dedicated to different cabinetry lines that we carry. So we have stock, semi-custom, and custom. And then there's 3 different construction types. So we kind of try to hone them in onto what construction type they like, whether it be overlay, inset, or frameless. And then kind of talk about their wants and wishes for the kitchen, price point wise, style wise, and kind of lead them towards which direction might fit both of those. After we do that, we look at door styles, colors, finishes. Some people, have an idea, a picture, and they're kind of going with what they've already found. Others will pull out every single sample and then they still don't know. And then we will go to their home or use their architectural plans with measurements. We put it into our program. We put the cabinetry that they chose into our layouts, and then we come up with a design and create. We at Grand Banks do these really nice 3D perspective presentations. So we try to do about 3 or 4 images of the top view of the kitchen, and then a couple side views, so you can see what style cabinetry plus how the whole layout's going to work. So we put a lot of time into the presentations to try to help people really visualize what is going in their space.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, especially during the COVID, we were doing a lot via email and phone calls. So we really relied on that 3D picture to kind of get the whole realm of things going.
And did people respond saying, "Oh, wow, that's not at all what I want"? They must really feel it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely get both. Some people are like, "Yep, that's it. I love it. Order it." Other people are like, "What if we did this?" And that it can have its pros and cons. I mean, when you have a 57 chain email thread and we've changed it, 9 times, it gets a little overwhelming because we might have ended up back at option 1. Exactly. They want to see them all.
Right.
So it's hard. Sometimes you just have to talk to them and be like, what do you really want, before you give too many options and then you kind of forget and get lost. And
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, do you follow Duval Kitchens on
I
Instagram?
do.
It's the best, isn't it?
I do love
I
them
know,
all.
I do too. I do too.
I went to their showroom in New York.
No way.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, I bet it's
It's
really
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, we'll tell you about that later.
Yeah, please do. So Emma, have you seen any change? Like Sam and Amy had said, things went bananas during COVID. Everyone was redesigning. Everybody was doing reno and all that. Now, has it changed a bit? Like, what is it? Just as prolific? Are the numbers still crazy? Are you still?
We are definitely still busy. People are taking their time more making decisions because the lead times have dropped. So that is nice. It's less. It takes a little bit of that pressure of the lead time off, which is huge. Because before, once 26 weeks, they had to get that order in, or their builder was going to move on to a different project,
Right.
that kind of thing. But now that they have a little bit more time to decide what they actually want,
Yeah.
I think it is kind of, it's not such like a rushy overflow feeling. We're definitely busy, but not scary busy.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Do people? I'm trying to find like, how. What if a person doesn't know enough to want to tap the shoulder of a designer, professional designer, to help them
Well,
through a
that's
process?
what Emma does.
Well, I understand, but like, how does the inquiry start? Are they coming here? Is it a contractor coming? Like, I have a client who has issues.
We get both. Sometimes I definitely have a lot of repeat contractors that say, go see, Grand Banks, and they will walk you through the whole process. We definitely teach people a lot about construct. Like, some people will come in, they're like, what do you mean there's 3 different types of construction? And that's kind of where we start. And some people don't understand the difference between the inset and the overlay. So we do, a lot of informative for some people. Others, they kind of let their contractor run the show and say, they'll come and pick a door style color out. So everyone's a little bit different in that.
Yeah, very cool. So now, Emma, if people want to reach you specifically, how can they go about doing that?
Just call the front desk.
Well, thanks so much for your time. We
Yeah,
really
no
appreciate it. It was a
problem.
cool
Nice to see you,
conversation.
Emma.
There you go. Yeah, Emma Littlefield. She is a designer here at Grand Banks Building Products. You, of course, are watching Cape Ann Today live from 7 Crafts Road here in the showroom at Grand Banks. We've had a bunch of great conversations so far today.
I'm looking at what kitchens people can see.
Yeah.
It's very pretty over there.
That's beautiful. I remember when I first started coming here. One, it's a beautiful spot, right? Then you realize you're right on the river here. Well, you're surrounded by water here, by Crafts Island too, and all the community work that Grand Banks has actually been involved with. You can come on in.
Yeah,
Melissa.
that is so impressive.
So we're now joined by Melissa Diamond and Nikki Marin. Melissa is the executive director at Wellspring House, just down the road, and Nikki is the director of education and training for Action Inc. Good to see you both.
You too.
Thanks for doing this with
Hi.
us.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So I guess right off the top, let's just talk about Wellspring and Action's relationship with Grand Banks. How did that come about, and how do you work with one another?
Sure. Do you want to start? Or do you want me to start? Well, we can just tag team.
Yeah,
We're always working
absolutely.
Come a little
together.
closer.
A little
Nikki,
closer,
to the mic,
okay.
if you can.
How's that?
I think
Okay.
that's probably better. Yeah.
So Sam O'Neill's an awesome community partner, and she has just really worked with us on our job training programs. And we developed a program a few years ago called the Trades Gateway Program. And one of the goals of that is to kind of increase trades trainings in the community. And she's been a part of our Trades Advisory Committee as we've developed that. And I'll turn it over to you to explain the rest.
So one of the things I love about Grand Banks is they've always been obviously a local community business, and not only is their customer base here, but they really are serious about wanting to be part of the community and looking for ways that they can connect maybe that a building products company might not normally, and so they want to know what's going on in the community. They want to figure out how they can fit in and be helpful. So for Wellspring, it's been a number of years that we've partnered on a few different events. There have been times that they've sponsored some holiday campaigns for us at their Christmas party, and they're open to be able to have events here. We've had sort of discussion forums here in the past. They sometimes have done fundraising for us, and they really want to be part of mapping out trades opportunities for people who are looking for viable jobs and viable training. Not only is that important for people and their families, but it's also important for the industry of the trades. We need people who are going to continue to invest time and energy into being in the trades. So Sam often is checking in to find out kind of what we're doing around job training and to see how they can be helpful. And to the extent that we partner together, which we do a lot, then they're benefiting the people who come to Wellspring for help too.
Now I'm familiar, and I know that Action has always had education programs right there even on campus, and I know and Wellspring does their own thing too. How did this marriage happen, and where? And I guess just explain this feature of it, getting women into the trades industry. How is that working out?
I guess okay, I'll start. It's funny because Action and Wellspring partner so much. It feels just like our daily lives. Like I'm always bouncing between Wellspring. What do we do? And so that's one of the things we're often doing with Action and Wellspring is these referrals both ways for clients to say, oh, have you tried the training program at Wellspring, or have you tried this resource at Action Inc. So, but to answer your question specifically, we started a Women in the Trades committee, and that came out of our trades advisory committee that I mentioned earlier. And there was feedback saying we need to have more job openings for women in the trades. We need to inspire women to get into the trades, and they need role modeling to do so. So we started a committee to kind of brainstorm how to do that. So Sam from Grand Banks is on it. We have staff from Wellspring on it, really exploring how do we open that up. And it's working. So we actually just had last week a panel at Gloucester High School of local women who are working in the trades.
Oh, wow.
To inspire the students so that the students who are girls there can see that there's options to get into the trades and start to visualize what that might look like for themselves. So Grand Banks has been helpful in launching that. Wellspring's been helpful, as well as a number of other community partners.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, I just want to back up a little bit. Why did you identify the trades as a place where women should be working? I mean, I'm all for it, but what was that conversation? Were you just thinking you needed more people in this industry, or did you see something about the places that women were in their lives that this would work out, the women in your clients, that the trades would be a good place? What were those conversations about?
So when we're looking for job training programs, I think Wellspring and Action are both looking for the same things, which is we want to find programs that are going to lead to good living wage jobs, and we want to find programs in sectors that are growing and that need more people. The trades need more people. If you think about a local trades company that you know, chances are the head of that company is looking to retire in the next 10 years, and either they don't have someone to take over, or maybe they do, but they need additional staff to continue the business. And there's a big shortage of staff in the trades right now. And so that's not just a job for men, that's a job for women. And we see a lot of women coming in and doing a great job in the trades. At our trades panel the other day, we had Nikki Bach from Bach Builders. We had Kathy Porter from Sandy Bay Service Station. They're examples of awesome women leading work in the trades. And so for women who want a job that they can be hands-on, create something, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything you want to
So what's the reaction been like, and I guess attendance so far? Is there excitement there?
Yeah, and I think I would even bring it a step back, which is together our organizations are looking for opportunities for anyone in this community to move into fields that are going to last, jobs that are going to be there, year after year for them and their families. The trades are one really important part of that. The other field that we also collaborate on is healthcare. And so we're talking about the trades today, obviously, but we're looking for opportunities for people in this community to support themselves and their families over the long term. And it obviously, the better that families are doing, the better off the community is at large. So where we come in is Wellspring does a lot of work in partnership with Gloucester High School. So we're working with juniors and seniors, especially folks who don't yet have clear plans after graduation. So we generally work with about a quarter of all of the senior class. We're in our 7th year doing that. And so when we're working with someone who's 17, 18, thinking about graduating from high school and they don't know what they want to do or how to do it, we start by saying, okay, well, what are you good at? What interests you? If you could spend your time doing anything, what would that be? And often when you step back and let someone talk about what they're good at, they may not know what it's called, but then you say, well, that's actually something that could be in the trades. Have you thought about that? And then we have to expose folks to what that would look like and what those opportunities are. So that's where something like a panel comes in, or a job shadow, or an internship, because how, as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, do you even know what's out there for your future unless you get exposed to that? So I would say that's both for young men and young women, but we know that women are less likely to take advantage of that opportunity. So we
Right.
have to focus on it in order to make it real for people.
Now, these juniors and seniors, are they through the vocational program there, or they're
Not
just the general?
necessarily. Yeah, I mean, so there's a particular class that happens in the senior year, and we're embedded in that class for the whole year. So we take our career advising curriculum and we modified it for a high school environment, and we run workshops throughout the whole year. We meet one-on-one with every student to help them plan. Sometimes it's that folks have a pretty good idea of what they're doing and there's just a couple of missing pieces, but sometimes they're like, I do not know. Or they don't even really have a sense of what the possibilities are. So we want to take the time to help people have a sense of that.
Yeah.
So beyond the panel, and so what kind of hands-on stuff? Let's say there's a young woman who's 17 and she's like, I think maybe I would like to have her nails. Like what happens to that? What are the possibilities for that young woman who's, let's say she's a junior, not a senior?
Yeah. Well, some of it has to do with making sure they know about the resources that are available to them. So Gloucester High has a partnership with Essex Tech, for example, and there are opportunities there. They might be in the vocational program, but they might not. I mean, it might be that they want to bridge. They want to. That's the other thing, is we don't want to force someone to narrow too quickly, get too focused too quickly. If someone's young, they still need to learn about what the opportunities are. So one is making sure people know about those opportunities that are already available through the school. Two would be summer internships. So Nikki and I are often in conversations with other groups about how can we have more summer internships for folks in Gloucester so they can have time, on a job site, learning more, being exposed to all kinds of things. And then in addition to that, actually considering maybe going for an education program they might not otherwise consider. And so Action has a really good relationship with a number of trade schools that are around, and we work together to help folks have money for transportation, money for tuition. So that's something that they might not have even considered could be an opportunity.
I see.
So we just had this conversation with a local contractor, Josh Pinstein. I don't know if you know him, but he was telling us that he went to 4 years of college, and he basically some person who was a contractor in Manchester said, hey, do you want to work for me? And that's how he learned. It's just completely serendipitous. And it feels as if the work you're doing is so important because it's actually so much more intentional, for one. And it's not just randomly, we hope some young people find this trade and therefore we have this workforce. So I think this is just so impressive. It's such an answer to Josh's story.
Right. And then there's a dearth of younger people in the trades now, so that's why this program is so important. And are you finding like the relationships with local businesses that can perhaps lead to apprenticeships, or like we just talked about that a little bit, but have you talked to any of those folks at all, and how receptive have they been to the program or the possibility of them helping down the line?
It's been great. So one of the things we've done is create an employer network. So what we do with that network is, and anyone's welcome to join this, if we have local employers looking for new staff, they'll let us know. Or likewise, if we have a recent graduate of one of our training programs, we'll reach out to those employers and say, hey, do you need someone who's just starting an apprenticeship in plumbing, or do you need a CDL driver? Do you need a electrician, whatever it might be? So it's really helping the local workforce when there's the needs to meet those needs. And so it's working out great, and it's, we're all about empowering individuals and building a stronger community, and this is doing both. It's helping the individuals get the jobs that are going to provide for their families, but it's also building our local workforce, and we're all working together towards those shared goals of having a strong workforce.
Gotcha.
And good jobs in this community where people can stay here and continue to thrive.
Yeah. And so now, how is the relationship working? Is it you're approaching school students, businesses? Has anyone ever just approached you one-on-one? A young person looking to get in the trades, and is that happening also?
Yeah, it's happening, and it's not just for young people. Although we're certainly here to help young people. We'll often see people middle of their careers, and for some reason, it's time to switch. Maybe they were laid off because of COVID. Maybe they had an injury, and we'll have people who've been working on the lobstering boats their whole lives and they love it, but their hips and their back can't take it anymore, so it's time to transition. We're here to help them through that transition, get the training that they need to continue getting a job that they can actually live off of.
Very cool.
And what people sometimes don't realize, especially these days, there's a fair amount of money for training programs. So folks, might have the idea that A, they don't know where to start, B, how in the world will I pay for it? And so that's something that we want to make sure people understand, that often there is money that covers the cost of training. And so that's number one. And then number two is, and then how are you going to support yourself while you're in training? And so that's often the work that we do, is that someone might be in a training program, but they've had to let go of a job or cut their hours in order to be in training. And so who's paying the rent while that's going on? And so we'll help people come up with a plan of how to manage their costs while they're pursuing this other opportunity,
Right.
investing in their future. So.
Yeah, and I suppose the carrot at the end of the stick is these are well-paying jobs
Yes.
where you can have like in a long tenured career.
Yes,
in doing this.
with really good jobs, good wages, good job security, a sense of autonomy, a sense of accomplishment,
And here, they're here. They
and
don't have
here
to travel
in people's
or
own community. Yeah.
or create a commute or move.
Right.
Yeah, it's really, really great.
Yeah, well, cheers to your efforts. That's awesome stuff. We'd love to follow up the conversation with you too. But if people want to learn more about that, how can they go about doing that?
I think the best way is around the training is to contact Actions Trades Gateway. That's what they call it. And you'll get to Nikki that way. And if someone is pursuing training and they need some coaching and help around just cost of living and how to make it work financially, then they can contact Wellspring, and we call it our homelessness prevention program.
Cool.
And we make it easy. Right on our website, there's a little form. So we'll call you if you fill out the form. Some people don't like making a phone call. We'll make it easy for you.
Is it through actioninc.org?
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome.
Trades Gateway.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Melissa Diamond and Nikki Marin, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Sharing that info with us. It was really cool
Great.
and
We
interesting.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Very
much.
Nice to see you.
Take care.
What do you think, Heather?
That
Awesome,
is
right?
so impressive. Really,
Yeah.
that is really a great program.
And we've been hearing around here for years how there are all these opportunities in the trades, and just the lack of workforce has
Right.
it's just been dwindled. But like machinists, carpenters, plumbers, like they make big money. All the kids that I went to school with through the vocational program,
Right.
they were making bank the day after graduation.
Right.
You know,
right, yeah.
I think
and
there's
it's one thing to sort of go to vocational school and have that training, but if you missed the vocational school part, and yet you're kind of looking at life at 17 years old, what will I do? And these two programs are right there to help
Yeah.
you at least find ways to consider it realistically. And also the transitioning from other jobs
That's a great
into
point.
the trades, that was just great.
Yeah, awesome
Yeah.
stuff too. So yeah, folks, so yeah, look up wellspringhouse.org and actioninc.org to learn more. We have to thank Graham Banks for having us on today. I love this show. It was really cool conversations, and I picked up a lot of great information too that I hope people can apply. And I don't know, it was a nice
did
little
too.
learning experience
Yeah,
today.
yeah, me too.
So, all right, we have to thank our crew, of course, our camera, Mike Dennis and Alec Palmer, our floor manager, Alana Horn, production manager, Tyler Hurinson.
Right, Tyler?
Yep.
Yeah.
Our technical director, Matt McMakin, our operations coordinator. We have an operations coordinator.
Does she have
Right there,
experience?
yeah. Emily
Definitely.
Games.
She's got experience too.
And our executive director, Eric Archer. Our next episode of Cape Ann Today Live will be Friday, March 3rd at O'Malley Innovation Middle School. Heather and I will be in the science lab between the 6th and 8th graders, I
Cory
swear.
Kookaroo's alma mater.
I love that place. The inmates ran the asylum, and we are going to let them take over on Friday, March 3rd. So tune in. So, all right. So thanks once again to everyone here at Graham Banks Building Products at 7 Crafts Road. Thanks again, Heather. That was a fun one.
Thank you, Cory. It was really good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
learned a lot, and go work for us.
There you go, folks. All right. We'll
Right.
see you next time on Cape Ann Today.